If you ever played Call of Duty, you remember the heartbeat sensor. This little screen bolted to the side of your gun, sweeping every couple of seconds, and enemies light up as dots. Through walls, no line of sight required. And you probably thought it was some sci-fi nonsense. Well, it turns out the real version exists. And it's in soldiers' kit bags. A consumer version of it is sitting on your bedside table, watching you sleep. A city-scale version of this is going up on rooftops across 21 Indian states. And 2 months ago, in the mountains of Iran, the CIA reportedly used a human heartbeat, just the heartbeat, to find one man hiding in a crevice and brought him home. Now, if you thought my Wi-Fi video was creepy, that was standard definition, my friends. This right here is 4K. Your router can already detect people moving through your home. You don't need cameras, just the Wi-Fi signals bouncing off your body at around 5 gigahertz. We can read those distortions, and that gives you a coarse blur that someone moved. There is a presence here. Well, the military figured this out first, obviously, and they gave the program the most on-the-nose name in defense history. It's called Sends Through the Wall, or STTW. It was Army funded, DARPA was involved, and now it's declassified, patents and all. The use case is simple and visceral. Imagine you're a soldier doing an urban breach. Intel says there might be a hostile on the other side of the door. How many? Where? Are they armed and waiting, or panicking and looking for the exit? That split-second decision is the difference between a clean entry and a firefight. So they built a sensor that looks like a temperature gun. You point it at the door, and on a little display, a blob appears. There's a person. Here's roughly where they are, and here's their heartbeat measured through the wall. Is it a calm 60 beats per minute, or is it 140 and spiking? Someone crouched behind a door with a weapon in hand is usually amped up. The range of this tech is about 5 to 50 feet. It works through drywall, wood, brick. There's nothing to see, nothing to hear, nothing to feel. You have no idea this thing is pointed at you. DARPA then pushed it further with a program called Biometrics at a Distance. Essentially, how do you measure the vital signs of multiple people at once through obstructions at tens of meters? And here's the scenario they had in mind. Imagine a bomb goes off in a market. Everyone's fleeing, pandemonium. Everyone's heart rate is spiked up, except for that trained operative walking calmly out of the chaos. They wanted to be able to scan the crowd for who's not scared. Psychological calm as a biometric. Just sit with that for a second. And then there's Jetson, built for the US Special Forces. An infrared laser instead of radar, same idea, but it can identify a specific person's cardiac signature from 650 feet away. Because in case you didn't know, your heartbeat waveform is as unique as your fingerprint. You can change your face, you could change the way you walk, but you cannot change your heartbeat. That was the military track. Obviously, it was expensive. It was classified for a while. There was 2 decades of R&D. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you how that same capability costs $22 on Amazon. But first, let me show you the full stack of what these sensors can do, because it escalates layer by layer. Okay, to simplify the physics a bit, millimeter wave is that same trick at 24 to 60 gigahertz. So we're talking an order of magnitude increase in frequency. Think of it like this. Shorter wavelengths resolve smaller details. So where Wi-Fi might see a coarse-grained blur, millimeter wave sees a clinical picture. Who moved? Where exactly? What's their heart rate? And we'll get to this, but how they're feeling. So what does this actually look like in practice? I mean, this is why that fancy sensor you sit inside when you go through the airport is millimeter wave as well. It can go through your clothes and see if you're hiding anything. So let's talk about the 5 layers. Layer number 1 is presence. This is already deployed globally. You know that little plastic sensor in the corner of your hotel room? That is not a camera. That's a radar that knows you're there even if you're perfectly still. And if you got one of the fancy ones, it can even see you breathing. Hotels use this all the time to figure out if the room is occupied. Hospitals use this, nursing homes use it, offices, and most people have no idea. Layer 2 is heartbeat through walls. In 2024, researchers at the University of Dhaka did it with a single channel 24 gigahertz radar. I'm talking 95% accuracy through wood and brick. It could pick up 2 separate heartbeats isolated simultaneously through the wall on radar hardware that costs tens of dollars, not thousands or tens of thousands. And this is peer-reviewed public research. Anyone can replicate it. Layer 3 is location and pose. Now, a 2024 study with 77 gigahertz radar, which by the way is the same frequency mass-produced for car safety systems, can pinpoint a person to within 19 centimeters. In a room full of plants, curtains, furniture, clutter would blind a camera. The radar does not give a crap. Layer 4 is emotion. This is the one that got me. Just a few months ago in April 2026, researchers published the first publicly accessible emotion recognition dataset built on millimeter wave radar. Basically, participants were watching these film clips designed to induce specific emotions. And then the radar classified their emotional state from micro vibrations in the chest. I'm talking breathing rates, heart rate variability, tiny subtle shifts in posture. I mean, this is stuff that we can vibe check very quickly if we're in a room using our eyes, which are effectively cameras. But in this case, we don't have a camera. We don't even need a face. We're talking about reflected radio waves reading your feelings, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. Finally, layer 5 is identity. So there's a system called RD Gate, which can identify which person is walking through a room simply by their gait alone. Again, you don't need a camera anymore. This was tested on 125 volunteers on a super wide age range. I'm talking 6 to 63 in corridors, in crowded offices, all from a single radar chip. And as you may know, the rhythm of your steps is a fingerprint, and a neural network can match it across days and all sorts of environments. So we start with presence, then get to heartbeat, then infer location, then emotion, and finally identity. Essentially going from someone's there to I know exactly who that is and how they feel at this very second. And guess what? Every layer of this stack gets cheaper every year. All right, so we talked about the military gear and even the research labs. Fine. But I promised you this was on a bedside table. So let's talk about Google. Around 2014, Google's ATAP division, essentially the advanced projects team, partnered with Infineon on a project called Soli. They essentially shrunk radar down to the chip the size of your pinky fingernail, running at 60 gigahertz. Meaning it was precise enough to track individual finger gestures. And if you remember, they actually shipped it in the Pixel 4 in 2019 as Motion Sense. You could wave your hand to skip songs. Of course, it flopped, and Google quietly moved on. But the real story is this. Soli did not die. It moved into your bedroom. And it came in the form of the second-gen Nest Hub. This is on millions of bedside tables right now, and it has that same 60 gigahertz radar chip. It tracks your sleep, your breathing, your movement, your sleep stages through the blanket without a camera, without a wearable, syncing to Google servers every morning. And now if you look at it a certain way, this is privacy preserving. There's no camera involved. There's no footage. And look, I get it. But let us also consider that a radar profile of your sleeping body might be more revealing than a photo. So a photo shows what you look like. This tech shows your biological functions, your breathing cadence, whether you're up at 2 a.m. and how your sleep falls apart during a stressful week. But of course, there was a plot twist. Now, this tech launched in the US without any issues, but when Google tried to launch the Pixel 4 in India in 2019, they got blocked. In that region, 60 gigahertz band wasn't even cleared for commercial use, in part because it's also used for military applications. So the Indian government looked at this fingernail-sized consumer chip and effectively said, that is military-grade tech. Our citizens can't have it. And Google walked back that model from one of the largest cell phone markets on the planet rather than pull the chip. But history has a sense of humor. If we fast forward to March 2025, Reliance Jio is actually lighting up 26 gigahertz millimeter wave 5G across 21 states and union territories. To be clear, this is a different band, but we're talking about the same millimeter wave family. And officially, it's for enterprise. We're talking smart factories, we got fixed wireless, all legit use cases. But let me tell you, the physics of the matter doesn't always comply to the press release. A 26 gigahertz array on a rooftop is physically capable of the kind of sensing we've been talking about in this entire video. And if you think that's exaggeration, just take a look at T-Mobile's patent. They've got one in the US that's literally titled Environment Scanning Using a Cellular Network, essentially using tower signals and their reflections to map the world around them. So the industry isn't just thinking about this stuff, they're filing the paperwork so they can actually execute on it and commercialize it. And that is just the top-down story. The bottom-up story is perhaps even wilder. All right, so the airport body scanners we talked about cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, the underlying physics is basically the same, but now it fits on a palm-sized board. And in fact, Texas Instruments sells these 77 gigahertz radar dev kits to anyone. You don't need a license, you don't need clearance. And at the hobbyist end, you have even cheaper ESP32 plus a 24 gigahertz radar module that runs you like $50. If you shop around a little bit, you could probably get closer to $22. And people are doing beautiful things with this tech. Fall detection for the elderly, so your grandma doesn't have to wear anything. This sensor in the corner knows if she's fallen and immediately calls the family. You've got baby monitors that are reading breath through a blanket with zero contact. And honestly, for the Jarvis I'm building in my home, this is the basis for privacy-preserving sensors. I don't want a bunch of cameras indoors, but if I have just a few sensors around the home, my AI knows that I'm at my desk, calm at 9 a.m. with a cup of coffee, or I'm chilling on my couch, watching Netflix. Relax, let's not bombard him with notifications. And I could do this without a single camera anywhere. But before I go full utopian on you, and I'm sure a bunch of you listening to this are like, that is not something you want. But let me tell you, democratization is a double-edged sword, which brings me back to that mountain in Iran. So it's April 2026. A US F-15 Strike Eagle goes down over southern Iran. The weapons systems officer, call sign Dude 44 Bravo, ejects, survives, and spends the next 2 days hiding in a mountain crevice with a handgun, while Iranian forces sweep the area with a bounty on his head. His rescue beacon is transmitting, but the terrain is absolutely wrecking the signal. Search and rescue can't get a fix precise enough to risk sending a team in. The US brought him home. That part is documented history. But how they found him is where it gets really interesting. According to leaked reporting, the CIA deployed something called Ghost Murmur in apparently its first operational use ever. It was allegedly built by Lockheed's storied Skunkworks lab, the same group that came up with the U-2 and SR-71 Blackbird. And apparently, they used a technique called quantum magnetometry. These are sensors built on defects in synthetic diamonds that are sensitive enough to detect the faint electromagnetic fields your heart generates with every beat. And layer in AI stripping out the Earth's magnetic field and everything else, you have one cardiac signature remain at one specific location. Now, the entertaining part of all of this is that physicists immediately push back. They're like, the Earth's magnetic field is about 1,000,000 times stronger than a heartbeat. How could you possibly do this? Detecting a heartbeat at these ranges just is not possible. And of course, the CIA won't confirm any of it. But here's what is on the record. CIA Director John Ratcliffe stood at a White House press briefing and credited the rescue to human assets and, quote, exquisite technologies that no other intelligence service in the world possesses. And that, my friend, is the thing about capabilities like this. Whenever one of these leaks, it sounds like science fiction. It gets heavily contested by the experts. And look, maybe the skeptics are right about the range, but the lineage that we just walked through, sense through the wall, biometrics at a distance, Jetson reading one heartbeat at 650 feet, every step of it is real and published. So when the CIA director says exquisite technologies, it really makes you wonder what else is sitting in that arsenal. Now let's put this together. Everything in this video is one story. Radio waves have always carried a picture of the physical world. Every room they bounce through, every body they pass through. We just treated it like dumb pipes. But now we have the computational ability and the intelligence ability to read these signals. And it's at every scale at once. In that hotel sensor that you never noticed, in your Nest Hub, on rooftops across India, and reportedly in the mountains of Iran, finding one heartbeat in a haystack. I mean, we're talking about your Comcast router noticing that you walked into a room and turning on your lights, to a heartbeat pulled out of a mountain range. That, to me, is a straight line in a subsidized technology by 30 years of R&D, going from classified programs to a $22 chip you can buy online. Now, if this video rewired how you see the antennas all around you, send it to a friend. And if you want to go deeper on Wi-Fi sensing and how all of that works, check out my previous video over here. And if you're curious about how satellites deploy similar tech to do Earth observation at night through clouds, check out this video over here. And if you're the 80% of people who are not subscribed yet, now is a good time. I help you map the frontier every single week. Bilal signing off, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Cheers.